Hello and welcome back to our life, beginnings and always. Yeah, man, this has been a journey and a half so far. I've really loved this. I've had a great time with it. It's just meaningful and special. And I didn't think it would be that. I know the game already. It's just been so cool. I'm not going crazy and overboard and playing it a million times. Don't worry. I didn't do a lot of other stuff, but this has been what I wanted to do. This has been my happy place lately. I've kind of needed this. So we're gonna try to do another random moment. Let's see what we get. 4. Sandukasalu. Oh boy. Not my favorite moment. This will be interesting though, because it's the first time we'll actually have gone to the beach. Like, you spend a lot of time on the beach in this game, but I've just happened to get the moments that involve going to the hill or somewhere other than the beach. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I think the beach is in this one. I think the beach maybe is in this one and this one. Maybe? There's a lot of beach in step 2. You go to the beach a lot, but we're gonna go to the beach today. So I finally get to talk about how Marina actually likes the beach. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When him, and Shiloh sat in the seashore shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. Look at that water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you heard about Cove's old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. Even cut it off himself if he could. He thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad, it had all your favorite things in it, but sitting there on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. See, you don't have any choice of not liking Sunset Bird or not liking the ocean. You can pretend you don't like the ocean. You can say your character doesn't like the ocean, but the writing will always say, oh, you love your town and you love the ocean and blah, blah, blah. That's the one thing I find weird about this. So Cove has to have been from somewhere where there was a beach before. That's what I said before in a previous thing, because he loves the ocean so much and he this thing. So he has to have been from another part of California or from like Florida or the Carolinas or something where they have beaches. I mean, I grew up around beaches, but not ocean beaches. There's some beaches like this. You watch him from the corner of your eye quietly, and you finally settle out what you've been pondering. So, this child is why I don't like this moment. He's weird in this moment. This just, yeah. This is why I don't like Shiloh. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently soon wasn't soon enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there, like mermaids.
yeah.
Thank you, Shiloh. I wish you didn't have a cast. I don't really care. Swimming might be fun if we could. I'm fine here on land. Mermaids aren't real. Now, she would totally believe in mermaids. She would want to be one. She's not fine here on land. I wish you didn't have a cast. That's kind of a rude thing to say. I think swimming might be fun if we could. I don't think she'd be this, like, insensitive to, Because like I said before, Marina's gonna be able to empathize a little bit because she's gonna have been in this situation, except in her case she had a leg cast or some such. Which is harder, probably, than your left arm. It's not like there's anything we can do about it. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation. Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle?
Sort of.
I was only playing around when you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? So, I mentioned before, I want to talk a minute here before we start getting really into this. I grew up around beaches. I went to a lot of lakes for swimming, and I grew up around some of the biggest lakes in the world. And I spent a lot of time on sandy beaches as a kid. And I love the sand, and I love the water. The water, I always thought the water was my element, really. I still do to this day. Like, I know my astrology tells me my element is fire or something like that, I think. It's people have told me. Fire and air, I think. I don't feel much of a connection to either of those. I feel a connection to the water. I always have my entire life. I love the water. And I spend a lot of time building sandcastles. I love sandcastles, so this is kind of important to me. This whole thing about sand and the idea here. I do resonate with Shiloh here a little bit, even if I don't like him. Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable with Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. I love making sand stuff. I never really made one before. There's nothing else. No, I love making sand stuff. She would totally be down here all the time doing it. Like this, not just because me, but Marina would totally. This character would she be at the beach all the time? He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. I don't do it a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. I mean, you haven't been here, right? You're just visiting for the summer. So he must live somewhere by an ocean too. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own methods. Didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas. He's so close. Why is this child so close? Sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine's gonna be a real castle.
Cool.
This is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make a mansion. No, she would be all about that fantasy life. We would make like the mermaid castle. We're gonna make a castle also, because I'm totally in there for that. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to build a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks as everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a red bottle cap, blue seashell, green piece of sea glass, blue seashell matches her eyes and stuff. It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. The blue color of it still reminded you of the clear water. So you displayed it in front and center, making it a headlining feature of your whole thing. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. Let's check out what our bestie Cove is doing. The castle Cove had built looks surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging that huge gaping moat in front, but it was already enormous. It was so much fun to build moats around your sandcastle. That's something I love doing. I just in general, building like little channels and canals in the sand. I used to play on the sand, like sandboxes and stuff too. I had like trucks and stuff. Maybe that's part of why I'm an engineer today. I'm not that kind of an engineer, but you know, I used to like to build sandcastles and build things, build Lego things, design things. I don't do a lot of that in my current job, but it is stuff that I enjoy and like, and that probably has a lot to do with it. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when you finally removed the pink plaster. Yeah, I imagine if you grew up near the beach and had a cast, right? The silence was then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke. This child is so creative.
Neat.
It's good. That's smart. He's a people pleaser, by the way. I haven't seen a lot of him yet, but he's one of those characters that likes to make everybody else happy. I think maybe at the cost of his own, such. But the developer sure loves Shiloh. I didn't think of that. You should be an architect. Kind of looks more like a worm. Guess I don't see it. No, Marina is creative, so she would see it. You really know a lot about this. Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. Like, seriously, she wouldn't tease him. He's Lizzie's friend, but she wouldn't, like, make fun of him. She likes everybody, and she's also creative, so she'd be a little bit jealous that somebody else thought of a creative idea. Marina, can I see what you did? Sure. He scooted just a bit nearer and began surveying your work. The castle you built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat circling it. You would probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. Hey Marina, what did you do? It's a castle. Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore. You both built castles?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I built a castle because I like castles. Because she would like castles. She would be all about, like, that princess life, yo. But this is why this moment now. This child is gonna get mad because... Yeah, anyway.
Ah.
Oh, that's neat. How you guys match. It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. Wouldn't that be boring? It's something is only one of that thing. That makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man. A real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. Yeah. You know, I do kind of... I don't know. I'm not different. A beat passed down between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. So, like, Shiloh wants to be... I don't know. He wants everyone to like him, too. Okay. But the thing that's going on here is we have two little Spectrum children's, like, trying to play with each other. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Code had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I don't want to. Cove trailed off again. There was another moment of silence. See, these moments are never about what you think they're about. They're always about something more deep. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Marina? You cocked your head thinking about it briefly. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he still was kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. Yeah, I mean, also, you know, all this going on here. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh.
Well, I was there. I don't think my mom's met your dad. He's just trying so hard to be included in this conversation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Maria's parents and my dad met the same day I met her. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could tell he still was upset at not being included in Cove's choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say things they want is important too. So, like, I can't express really why I feel the way I feel about Shiloh. He just acts in ways I can't personally understand. But, you know, I'm not trying to put down people who feel the way Shiloh feels. I think he's valid, and he is an individual as well. I love all of this, too. He's so pretty. It's like he has constellations and stuff. He stayed silent in Cove. I think Shiloh wants to talk, too. Yeah, I think in this case, she's gonna try to help, though. This is helping. Huh? We're talking, just not right now. We were talking, just not right now. I'm talking to you. He can listen. Shiloh's expression briefly flickered at the words. He still looked put off. See, this is kind of Cove being a dick, too. But Cove is not intentionally being a dick. Neither one of them. This moment is just uncomfortable because neither one of them. They're 8-year-olds, right? And I think Shiloh might even be younger. He might be like 7 or something, or even younger than that. They're young kids, and they're also on the spectrum, and so the social stuff isn't there at all. It just comes across as very rude on both their parts, but it's still uncomfortable. Cove continued like the interruption hadn't happened. He was determined to tell the tale. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there when Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. I might need this. I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said, I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Cove nodded and then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. What? That's all you wanted to say? Cove's brow wrinkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised. Because your story doesn't really have a point, Cove. You just decided to talk about the time your dad met my mom's. It had nothing to do with the earlier conversation. It was just kind of rambly, and you interrupted and cut off Shiloh. That's why.
Huh?
That's all that happened. Okay. Why did you want to tell the story if nothing happened? You really gotta get better telling stories. That was a pretty bad story. Thanks for telling me. No, she would be like, why'd you want to tell the story if nothing happened? There was no point. But that was how our parents met. I didn't make the story up. That's not really my point. Cole was just not understanding the issue here. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a skull of disbelief, but he said nothing. Whoa, I've never seen this face on Shiloh before. Wow, that's a new facial expression. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cole's shoulders.
Well,
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved here to here. Dad showed me the beach first before we went back to the car to unpack. Yeah. So that's like, this is kind of why he brought it up, I guess, because it's his like memory of the moving here. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cole's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. He thought that maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cole might be. See, this is stuff that where I think an 8-year-old might not come up with that logic. This is that part where I was thinking about. I don't know that she would understand grown-ups to the level that she would come up with that inference. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh, fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand, had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh? Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing's happening? Yeah, and now this is more of his blunt, like, autism stuff going on here, where he's just, like, not being sensitive. He's just like, hey, I noticed a thing about you. Tell me about that thing about you. You know, kind of thing. I've known people like this. It's really interesting. Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kind of weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this, perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh, a huge deal. He didn't just look sad, he seemed almost panicked. Yeah, Shiloh has like a condition, man. He has like rosacea or something like that. I don't actually know if that's the thing, but you can't just, you know, no, we're all 8. We're all kids. We don't understand this, but this is what happens. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove.
Who asked you to come?
It was probably just your dad bugging Marina's family some more because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you. Yeah, then he says stuff like this. And I get that it's because he's mad, but my goodness. Yeah. This is why I don't like this moment and why I don't like Shiloh all that much. Anyway. Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to move past. To be fair, again, with Marina being who she is, this is going to be very different than my friend's moment where her character couldn't, like, actually talk and help them in any way, shape, or form. Not that Marina's going to be very good at that, because she's not very good at helping. Or very good at being tactful, I mean. It didn't seem like the kind of thing that he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too, I was just wondering. Hey, let's build our sandcastle. Try to play around. Are we gonna build more? You never mess with the sand. Hey, let's build another sandcastle. The day's gonna be over soon. Ah, Marina, you're right. The sun is going down so fast. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. I thought we should have built one together as a group. That's what I thought we were gonna do. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up until the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. I love this, though. That little sandcastle is cute. At least he tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it had helped. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. Yeah, we tried to help Shiloh out there and give him a voice, and, you know, he's been our friend longer than Cove, right? That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you know it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. So you led the way on the path back home. So there's still more to this, though. We're not done yet. But yeah, this, I don't know. There's something about that just... I felt like, even though I was it still didn't give you much chance to help there, which is interesting. I thought I'd have more of a chance to mediate, but there's not. It just kind of happens. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against sidewalks in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. What you thinking about, Cove? You didn't want to leave it hanging in the air, so you decided just to ask. Why are you making that face?
Oh.
I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds inside. Why'd Shiloh act like that? I said he was all red a lot. When I said he was all red a lot. You were being rude to him? He's just being a baby? You shouldn't make fun? I don't know, it's just Shiloh. He gets embarrassed. You shrugged at Cove with no answer to give. You were being rude to him. She would straight up tell him that. I don't think Marina has any problem telling him this. He's just being a baby. Yeah, he's not making fun of him. She wouldn't take it that way. And she wouldn't be rude to Shiloh. No, I wasn't. It looked like that to me, and it wasn't just saying that one thing. You're not very nice to Shiloh. I didn't mean it like that. Shiloh is kind of weird to talk to. See, that's kind of rude. I guess I can get it. Why you would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. See, like, so he didn't even realize he was being rude. That's what I meant by that. Like, he's just saying those things because it's a blunt observation of this other person's person, and he thought it was something he could talk about. It's just something he noticed that it came to his head, and then it came to his mouth, and then he said it. I can understand that. What have I been doing this entire time? Despite seemingly come to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour.
Hey, Marina, was Shiloh telling the truth?
Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug the sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second.
Does my dad make you hang out with me? I know he talks to your moms about that a lot.
An uncomfortable weight settled in your chest at the question. You liked spending time with Cove. You didn't even have to think that hard about it. You knew you did. You didn't have to think hard about it. You knew you did. But you couldn't help feeling guilty. Cove still didn't know what happened when he met Mr. Holden. Okay, so this is a big thing. I really think that she's the kind of kid who would do this. I forgot this happened in this moment. I feel like she's the kind of kid, so nobody's making me spend time with you. Your dad does do stuff so he'll hang out with my family, but Shiloh shouldn't have said that. You decided to tell him about how his dad offered you money. This feels like something she'd say, but... I mean, I guess the topic didn't really come up here. It's not specifically about that. That's why I'm not sure that it would come to her mind. This is a hard choice for me. Sorry, I gotta take the time to think about this, because... Like, I know this is a big deal, and there's things that change later in the story if you wait, but I'm logically the way I'm playing the character. I'm not doing this for specific endings or specific scenes or trying to show certain things. I'm just playing a game. I'm 100% just playing this game how I want to play it in this character. I don't think she would say this. She wouldn't think things through that much. I think she would say this because because she likes Cove. She wants to hang out with Cove. She didn't accept his money, and she probably at the time wouldn't have even thought about it. She'd just be like, yeah, keep your money, old man, you know, stranger danger, you know, kind of thing. So I don't, and he didn't bring it up, and there's nothing in the conversation to really bring up that. So I think we're gonna skip it. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure it was okay is all. So I'm sure if I told him that about the money thing, he'd get really upset. And there'd be a whole thing. But that's really, I'm playing Marina the way Marina would honestly react.
Thanks.
Thanks for telling me. Thanks. Your throat tightened. It was hard to meet Cove's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard. I'm not keeping a secret. She wouldn't have thought about that secret. She's not lying to cover it up. She just literally, this is what she's saying. It's no problem, Cove. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your house. It was time to part ways. You said goodbye. You hugged Cove goodbye. You nudged. She said, yeah. We nudged Cove's shoulder. You reached over and gave Cove a fond push forward. Bye. See you tomorrow. He laughed a little and playfully pushed your hand back. He didn't mind a bit of rowdiness at all. Bye. Then you jogged towards your house. When you looked back, you saw Cove making his way back home too. As if he felt your eyes on him, he turned around. He waved. You did too. You still felt a little unsure. Why do I do this? You probably notice it all the time when I read. I read fast, so you still unsure. That's the way I read. I have to enunciate. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. Yeah, we'll get there. You didn't want to say something bad or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Cove would take it either. It'd be terrible if you made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? You might change your mind sometime, but there was always tomorrow after all. But for now, it was definitely something you'd keep to yourself. And that's not why we did that. I am thinking more along the lines of Marina wouldn't have thought of it in that moment. With a final look, you went inside your house. And that was that. And that was that. So we built a sandcastle. We got through sandcastles. I'll be honest. The ones I've done so far are probably my least favorite moments in this act. Like, I do like Ghost. And that was fun. And this was interesting. But, like, seriously, these... not my favorites. I don't think this is one of my favorites, but I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. I can't remember that one. And I like the sleepover one. So, like, the ones we've done so far are the ones I like less. So I guess we're getting the ones I don't like as much out of the way, so we can do the ones that we like and have more fun. I hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you next time.